Meniere's disease is hard to diagnose. It's created by a problem in the ear, the fluid building up and causing an attack, and can't really function for 2 days. You're very dizzy and you have no strength. I found that moving would create sickness and vomiting, and so I would try not to move as much as possible. I was having the attacks probably every other week. One thing you could do is have surgery in the ear that's creating the attacks, but the surgery would cause deafness. We were here to hear Paul Teske talk about his ministry and about his book. So I thought it was going to be a nice evening where I would hear him tell about his ministry, which I was very interested in. Brought my husband because I'd heard Mark say he wanted skeptics, so Mr. Skeptic, definitely, I brought him. And so we sat down and we thought it would be an enjoyable evening listening to him talk about his healing ministry. The evening when we were here, I was experiencing problems with my ear. I couldn't hear my husband talk very well because he was sitting on my right side. So I knew I was going to have an attack probably in a day or two. So the evening progressed and Paul said, okay, is there anyone else who would like to be healed? And I still sat there and thought about it, and then finally I raised my hand. Paul asked me what I had that I wanted to heal, and I told him Meniere's disease. He didn't quite understand what Meniere's disease was, so I explained it to him, and he said, okay, we'll give it a try. So he put his hands on my ears, asked me to repeat that I believed in Jesus Christ, which I did. He anointed my forehead with oil, and that was it. When the evening was over, I drove home and I noticed I could hear really well with my right ear. No problem, no distortion at all. Got home and I told my husband, and of course he wasn't too sure I knew what I was talking about. But then as the days progressed, I didn't get an attack. My hearing was perfect. After a couple weeks, and I didn't have an attack, I realized something was happening. Plus, I didn't have the problems with my hearing. So I knew something was going on. Peter says, it's because you're watching your salt intake. And he didn't realize I really wasn't watching my salt intake. I didn't need to anymore. I mean, you're healthier not having a lot of salt anyway, but I would eat whatever I wanted to eat and still not have the problems with my ears. So I think he finally is coming to the realization after a year and a half that there might be something to this. But it is, it's an amazing thing. It's hard to believe. And I feel like the closest people to me are having a hard time believing it. It's understandable. It's hard to believe. It's hard to wrap your thoughts around this because I was really having a hard time with this. And then, I mean, now I thank God every single day that I don't have that horrible disease anymore. And if God can heal me, He can heal anybody. This was really a huge thing in my life. It was a horrible disease. I never thought that it would go away so quickly. And only God can do that. Nobody could have made this go away. Every day I thank Him. It's just unbelievable. I thought things like this only happened in the Bible. I couldn't believe it happened to me.